Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We know that stress typically is not a good thing for our bodies. It's been well documented. Research has been done how stress can cause disease, illness, challenges. But is there good stress? The word stress just sounds like a bad word. Is there good stress? We're going to look at that and all different types of stress through the eyes of somebody that supports people holistically with wellness and transformational coaching and so much more. And she runs deep, all different areas, right down to nutrition. She's back with us. Candy Foster joins us on the program. How is it going today with you?
Great. How are you today, Steve?
A little stressed.
I don't know where you are, but we have sun today. That's made me a lot less stressed.
Well, you're up there in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. This, the sun does something. Just a busy day, and it's my, you know what? It's self-imposed stress because I have certain things that I want to get done and off my plate, and I'm just outside of doing podcasts, just things that are floating out there. Just want to get them done and moving on. But then if I don't or I run behind, I'm feeling just, sometimes during the day, today, usually I'm chill. I'm just feeling a little like, it's self-imposed, and certainly can be reduced. I got it. Is there actually good stress?
There is. And, it's like because we do associate the word with it's bad,
Yeah.
right? But there is a thing called hormetic stress. And that is those kind of stressors, those little bit of stressors that we put on our body to help it grow and get better. Like we go to the gym, we lift weights, we're actually tearing muscle tissue when we lift weights, but that helps us grow, right? Same as maybe going to a sauna. We're sweating really hard, but that's detoxifying us, creating a hormetic stress for us to grow and feel better. Let's see. Cold plunges are a big thing right now. Everybody's getting a tub to put in their backyard, and
Yep.
I haven't done that yet, but I have resorted to at the end of the shower after a workout, turning the shower over onto cold and just trying to breathe well. But those are forms of good stressors that we can put on our bodies to help them improve and adapt. Whereas the chronic stress that we're all used to day in and day out doesn't help us.
Cold plunge, that I just want to address that just for a moment. Never did it. Even the charity plunges, like the polar plunge, always wanted to, but a part of me says, is that right for you? Meaning me, everybody's different. It is going to be a shock to the body. Do I want that shock? Is it okay? And I guess it's very individual. Digression for just a moment. The cold shower. So I'm in a men's group, and this is like almost a year ago. There was a assignment. Go home and take a 2-minute cold shower. This is what you need to do. Go do it. So a week later, we come back, we get together, and the question was, all right, who took the cold shower? Some did, some didn't, some put a toe in, some got out. We needed to be honest, but it's thought. And here was the aha. The way you approach the cold shower is how you approach many things in your life. Whether you just jump in, you put a toe in, you spend a couple of seconds and then you get out, or you don't do it at all. Just a digression. It's kind of made me think about the cold shower thing.
I've actually had someone a teacher of some point say how you do anything is how you do everything. That's the thing that made me start making my bed in the morning.
There is something about that too. I don't do it, but I know what it feels like when you come home. Let's say you do it once a month. The psychological feeling of like everything's in its place. This feels good. Or, I have somebody clean my place like once every 6 weeks. All the stuff I don't want to do, like shower doors and things like that. They take care of it, but they'll make the bed. And it's like, Wow, that feels good. You forget what it feels like until you have
Right.
that organization. How do you know if how do you say it again? Or,
Hormetic
or,
stressors.
okay. How do you know they're good for you? For example, the cold plunge. You're wrestling in, should I do it? Is it bad? Shock to the body? How do you identify whether you should do it or not?
I usually say to, ease your way in. That fasting is a hormetic stress. We don't have somebody start with a 3-day fast, right? We start with, push your breakfast back an hour, in a few days, push it back another hour. Ease your way in. I'll be honest, I've never done a full-on plunge. I'm like, okay, we did a workout today. Okay, turn the shower to cold. Suck it up. That's as far as I've gone. So it's like easing your way in is usually the best way, and then you're not going to have, such a shock to the system that
Hmm.
you could have a problem, right?
Yeah, and a side note, assuming that you're healthy, for example, I had full heart workup in the last year. I don't think I've ever done it. Um, and identified, yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Prior to that, I'd be like, I don't know what's going to happen if I get in that cold water. Now I'm like a little
Right.
bit better with it. But bottom line here is make sure that you're healthy for things like that before you even, consider them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. Some of the other stress I would imagine is good for you. Like, for example, let's say you need to give a presentation in front of a lot of people. Public speaking, stressful, but that stress can push you forward and either keep you on your toes, get you excited about it. So there are many ways I can see that stress can support.
Absolutely. And getting you out of your comfort zone is like, that's the best way to move forward, right? I've always, not always said, I know one of my coaches once said to me, and I may have mentioned this, a book called Eat That Frog. Short little book, but made me start to notice those things that I was procrastinating on because those were the things that are most likely to move you forward. They're going to take you out of your comfort zone
Mm.
and you're going to progress. So that's, that's initially what made me do the cold shower because it's like, okay, get out of your comfort zone, do something different, change
Mm.
things up, right?
Mm. What's the difference between stress and anxiety?
Anxi- Anxiety, that's probably out of my realm more than, I mean, true anxiety. We've got so much of it in our society now. And I think some of it is caused by our food supply, and we've talked about that in the last few weeks too. But stress, we can create some of it's mindset, some of it's not. It's like chemical, it's like our food is always my first place to go, but food and mindset are, it's food and lifestyle is where we go.
Mm.
Uh, True stress is our cortisol, cortisol is triggered and our body sends out that you've got to run kind of thing, right? But in our world, we don't run anymore. We're not being chased by tigers. We're sitting at our desk, keyboarding away and getting more and more stressed. And so we're not burning off that cortisol. So it's like
Ah,
we're not breaking down that hormone like it's designed to be used.
I'm Candy, it looks clearer now. You could get stressed out and cave people time. You could have stress, whatever it is, but you burn it off quick. You mitigate it. Whereby now, got a stressful situation. Oh my gosh! All right, I'm going to sit down and start, working at my desk here. I'm not doing anything, but the chemicals are still there. There's nothing,
Yep.
nothing to deplete it. Um, when you look at the public speaking thing, it looks like stress, but is it also anxiety that is happening to you, when you're, kind of frazzled, I gotta go do this, I gotta do
Oh,
this.
for sure. Could be. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, I've done public speaking and there's a a real thing about people being backstage, jumping around, shaking their hands, shaking off that energy, right? Because it's
Hmm.
like getting that off, it's like, okay, you're working that out of your system, but it's getting you where you want to go. Yeah, it can be an anxiety, like, oh, all of these people, right? What if I screw up? All the what ifs come out.
And that's just one example, but I just got a crystal clear picture of an athlete before a game. You see football players and they're just like, I think they're
Yes.
warming up. There may not be.
Right. And a lot of, if you went in interviews with sports, sports people, they are always like, when the day I'm not nervous before a game is the day I stop playing, right? So they know that. Can relate to that.
Hmm. How about some other thoughts about stress that maybe we're talking about good and bad stress, but just in general, I'm learning from you the cortisol burn off. Never even thought of that. No,
Yeah, and
no wonder.
that's a great tool when you notice that your day's getting stressful. It's like, okay, we're going for a walk at lunch today because we got to work this off. Another tool we can do when we do that is moving, but go when you get outside, kind of scan the horizon,
Mm.
scan back and forth. It's kind of a neurological thing, but that's what we're scanning for danger, right? And don't wear your sunglasses because the sunlight, it's just things that are embedded in our genes from caveman times. So getting out, moving, scan your situation is naturally what you would do if you were being chased by a tiger.
I want to make sure I had that right. You said to support stress, to scan the horizon, just find a horizon and just do a look to left and right.
Yep. Yep. Just keep just as you're walking, enjoying whatever the weather is, hopefully nice. But
Wow.
scanning back and forth, it's like what you would do if you were being chased by someone. You're looking like all around you to scope out all the danger or your way out or whatever.
Fascinating. And it makes sense totally when you think about what's in us from evolution. Why does stress even exist? Well, it goes back to the beginning of time where there was fright, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
The pterodactyl is swooping down, or the tiger is lurking, and now but back then they burned it off right away.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. I'm gonna try that when I feel a little bit of stress.
It's it's pretty cool.
You know what? At the very least, it takes your mind off of the situation
Yes.
at hand. Interesting. Same thing like breathing. Those three deep breaths.
Yep.
Hmm.
All the tools that we have, deep breathing, meditation, getting out in nature, moving our bodies. There's so many tools that we have that don't cost us anything that we can utilize to feel better, whether it is stress, whether it's anxiety.
Sure.
You know, they say, at the very minimal thing, if you've got anxiety, if you can get up and move, it's going to help.
Yep.
Not necessarily a cure, but it's going to help you because you just have to do something.
Well, so many people say, I go to work out, I feel so much better. I was stressed out. Now I'm like, I'm better because now I see why you had the buildup of cortisol that is just stuck in your body. Tell us about that. Cortisol. Yeah, I hear lots of things about it. Any kind of insight?
That is our stress hormone. Anytime we're stressed at all, and I think most people don't realize how stressed they are these days. I mean, I have so many clients say, how's your stress? No more than usual, same as it always is, but it's been that way for years, right? So, but being able to recognize that, oh, this isn't helping me in my life. And if we are doing that, sitting in front of, our computer and not moving when we're feeling that stress, that's where all our belly fat comes from. That's where it's stored, is right in the belly, because that's an easy place for our body to go get it when we're in those emergency situations. The problem is we don't ever go back to it because We don't ever go back to burn it because we aren't really doing what evolution said, right? We aren't burning it. We aren't moving and going.
So I'm glad you went there. I was hoping you would about the belly fat. So let's say you dealt with stressful situations for a period of time. Gain weight. What's going on? I don't know why did I gain weight? I'm working out. It's not going anywhere. Let's say you mitigated the stress. Everything's cool now. You figured out what's going on there. Still got the belly fat.
But this belly fat's still hanging out here.
Yes. What do you do in that situation where you're pretty much confirmed that, let's say it was a change of life, but the change of life was kind of stressful. And of course, you were eating a little bit more, drinking a little bit more, whatever it might be, but there was stress involved. All of those converged around your midsection.
Yes.
Now what?
Yeah. Oftentimes, I do work with fasting a lot. Fasting is very helpful with that. Sometimes when people are finding they're stuck, they're hitting that wall, a longer fast will help them get into that. It's like get into that fast, 24, 36 hours. But those aren't something you jump into, from I've never fasted to I'm going to do a 3-day water fast. It's, we ease into those things and because we want to, again, back to hormetic stress, do just a little bit. That's because if you go from nothing to 36 hours or 72 hours, that's not hermetic stress anymore, right? That's a big stress on your body because you've never done it. So it's really easing into it, just like we were talking about, dipping your toe into that freezing cold water.
So I never thought of it this way. Fasting is stress.
Yeah, fasting is a hormetic stress. But we want to play with it. We want to ease into it, and change it up. Because just like if you're at the gym and you do the same workout every day, at a certain point, you're not going to have any progress. So if you do the same fast every day for your entire life, you're not going to have any gains after a while. So we need to change it up.
Almost like you need a shock to the body.
Yep.
And a good shock. So we talked about fasting previously. And even if it's just skip the breakfast, if you count the hours, you're essentially doing, maybe 16 to 17, 18-hour fast. If your meal was at dinner time and now your next meal is at lunchtime, in your opinion and experience and what you've seen, fasting, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being everybody should be doing it. It definitely is a great thing. It will support you, the shock to the body, whatever it might be. Scale of 1 to 10, where would you put it?
I do feel a 10, everybody should be doing some sort of fasting. And I know if I see that look.
Because I know you're right. I know you're right. And I just didn't want to hear it. And I knew it was coming. And on the back end, it's not really that hard. Once you get in, first couple of days of skipping breakfast, if that's your routine, hey, some people don't even eat breakfast. Good for them. Not me. My first thing I do is, and I actually start doing a little bit of work while I'm eating my breakfast, something, small. But that, you just backed it up that it's time to get on the fasting train.
Yeah. Well, you going back to those caveman days, they didn't have breakfast in the morning every morning when they woke up. They had to go find it, and some days they didn't find it. And so our bodies are built to go through, have times of like, oh, there isn't anything right now, but when we got it, we're going to utilize it. And it's like two different parts of our, we say my metabolism's slow. It's like two engines versus one.
I saw a picture on Instagram, and it was, a lot of times they put in your feed like these just random pages, right? And it was like history or whatever. It was people from the 1970s at the beach. And the point was everybody was thin, meaning our food supply is just making us heavy. And I actually, while I'm eating breakfast, of course, I'm doing this. I'm I'm not even kidding. And I'm looking at like, wait, let's just see what's going on here. I looked, I'm thinking, is this AI generated? I don't think it was. And I'm actually going to Google pictures of people at the beach from the 1970s and see, but everybody in this picture, I'm like, I don't see anybody with, little bit of, extra padding on their belly section.
Yep.
It's
It's our
crazy.
food. Yeah, it's all the processed stuff that's got chemicals that are gooping up our cells. And yeah, that's a good way to put that, gooping up our cells.
Yeah.
But that's what causes dis-ease in our bodies. It's like they can't function like they're supposed to.
I find it's so challenging to eat right. You really need to set the intention, make time for it. My daughter, I have an older daughter, and she's doing this. And I said, can you just text me what you're doing? And she sent a whole bunch of different ideas. She meal preps on Sunday, gets it all done. I'm going to start doing that within the next week and start making meals and ahead of time, but know what's going into it. You can buy,
Yep,
prepared meals. You don't know what they're putting into it.
exactly. Yep. It
Mm,
is, it's very true. And I'm the same way. Sunday is my day to do some meal prep, get it ready because that's the first thing I find because I have the same problem today. I don't know, this afternoon I felt like I need something sweet. I don't know why, but so I'm like, nope, drink your water because I don't want to go back down that path, because once you start, it's hard to get out of. But having meals prepped, having stuff ready to just grab alleviates all that. Oh, what am I going to have for lunch? Ooh, that doesn't isn't really what I want. This,
mm.
oh, this is what I'm having because it's ready and it's done.
Or when you're faced with you're leaving for work, and I do this, I'll make a salad every few days. Sometimes it gets a little boring, so I kind of change it up. Lots of vegetables, chicken, et cetera, et cetera. When I have to make it at seven something in the morning, it's a chore. It's like, all right, because then I got to make
Yeah.
breakfast. But then again, if I fast, I don't need to make breakfast. But it's just one more thing to make. Then I make some tea, and I was like, by the time I'm done, I'm 25 minutes in. So doing it on Sunday where you're mass producing it,
Yep.
it's the way to go. I really feel it is, and you know what you're eating, and it's cheaper when you look at it,
Yes, it
right?
is.
Hmm.
Yep. That's another thing. I mean, everything's pretty expensive in the grocery stores right now. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. If you skip a meal, grocery bills are a little less.
For sure. I had this for breakfast. Somebody told me about it. I know we're talking about not doing breakfast, depending on your fast. Oatmeal, Greek yogurt, and then something sweet. So it'd be a little agave, could be a little light maple syrup, very little bit, boop, just a little bit in
Yep.
there. Today I put bananas on it. I have it every like once a week or whatever. Good or bad? What do you think?
Oatmeal, we've got such a thing embedded in our minds that oatmeal's so good for us, but it is one of those things that will spike our blood sugar levels. So it's good that you're combining with that Greek yogurt because it's going to have some protein with it.
Yes.
But definitely, keeping track of our blood sugar levels can be helpful to see because everybody's different again.
Yeah.
We keep saying this, certain things will trigger somebody's blood sugar where it won't trigger somebody else's. So, but oatmeal's known for being a pretty good blood sugar spiker sometimes.
It's all carbs. That's
Yeah.
all. And the oatmeal I found to the protein point has protein in it. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's got like 20 grams of protein. Then you have the Greek yogurt, so there's more protein in there, a little bit of fat. But now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm afraid to admit it, no wonder I'm stressed out today. Look what I had for breakfast. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe a correlation there. Always love talking with you, Candy. How do we connect with you if somebody's looking just for accountability, just for ideas, to move their life forward in many different directions? How do we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Candy Holmes Foster Wellness.com, HOLMES. And actually do a free consultation. And you get on that first page and you can book a free consultation because to have a coach, you have to have a connection.
Yeah.
So that's what that's all about is finding that connection. And if it isn't there, then we can find somebody better for you.
Candy is good for you.
Yes.
Never thought I'd say that, but it's now the truth. Thanks
I
so
know.
much.
I say I'm the only one you can have.
Yep. Thanks so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.